Hi, I'm Steve-O and this is Jen. We're digital nomads traveling the world and exploring new cities along the way. Right now we're in Florence, Italy, and we can't wait to show you around.
Welcome to Florence.
Or Firenze if you're nasty.
Florence, Italy, known as Firenze in Italian, is the home of incredible Renaissance architecture, stunning works of art, and, according to the state of Florida, hardcore pornography. Florence is the capital of Tuscany and was founded in 59 BC by Julius Caesar's troops and has been a center of trade, commerce, and art ever since. If it's your first visit to Florence, there are some activities that you definitely don't want to miss out on and tips to help you make the most of your visit. We made a Google map with all of the locations we talk about in this video that you can view down in the description box.
First up is the Florence Duomo, also known as Santa Maria del Fiore. Construction on this stunning cathedral began in 1296. Il Duomo is one of the largest cathedrals in Italy and is a prime example of Gothic architecture. The facade is spectacular, with its ornate green, red, and white marble design. There's an impressive collection of paintings inside and statues by Renaissance masters. The inside of the dome is especially breathtaking. You can go inside the Florence Duomo for free from Monday to Friday between 8:15 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. and on Saturdays between 8:15 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's closed on public holidays and Sundays.
We were in Florence on Easter Sunday for the Explosion of the Cart, which you can check out in this video, so we attended the Easter Mass inside the cathedral. There are masses held every day of the week. Check online to see what times they are during your visit if you wish to attend. Since this is the most famous site in Florence, there are always big crowds walking around the piazza near the Duomo. We recommend coming here before 8 a.m. if you want to avoid the crowds and see the Duomo come to life in the morning sunlight. Less than a 10-minute walk from the Duomo is the Accademia Gallery, home to Michelangelo's David statue. If you're afraid of the human body, definitely do not come to Italy. There are penises and boobies everywhere, and then also the statues. The museum also has an impressive collection of Renaissance art, including works by Botticelli and other famous artists whose names we can't pronounce.
We thought one of the most interesting rooms was this gallery showcasing plaster molds of famous statues from around the world. The holes in the plaster molds are there so the artists could use math to scale up the plaster molds and create beautiful and gigantic works of art. The Accademia Gallery also gets extremely crowded with visitors and tour groups, so our top recommendation is to purchase a skip-the-line ticket for 8:15 a.m. right when it opens. We were among the first people inside and headed straight to see the David. Within 10 minutes, the gallery was full of people, but walking in and being able to see the David without anyone else around was an experience we'll never forget.
Another must-see art museum in Florence is the Uffizi, which houses one of the world's greatest collections of Renaissance art, including paintings you've probably heard of and would recognize, even if you hate art. Pieces like The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. See? You knew that one. The Uffizi building itself is a sight to behold just from the outside. Inside, there are thousands of works of art. You can see works by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, among other Ninja Turtles.
We were traveling in Florence with my parents, and my mom found this article from the tour guide travel blog with the top 12 things to see at the Uffizi, which helped guide our journey through the museum. We had a fun time trying to find them all. My mom and I opted to get the handheld audio guide, which you can purchase after you enter the museum. Steve-O and my dad insisted they didn't need the guides, then had immediate FOMO and ended up sharing ours, so I would definitely recommend getting it. It costs a bit extra, but it's worth it to have more context when looking at centuries-old artwork, although there isn't context for every painting. Seriously, what is that thing? But for example, the painting La Primavera, or Spring in English, is considered to be one of the greatest works of art in the world. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't appear to be all that special at first glance compared with the other incredible paintings all around it. However, we learned from the audio guide that it defied the oppression of artistic expression for its time. In the 15th century, it would have been one of the first paintings introduced to the public to feature a completely pagan scene, and was therefore quite scandalous in an era when people were burned at the stake for far lesser offenses. Fun facts to know and share.
You could expect to spend at least a few hours inside the museum, though honestly, you could easily spend several days here if you truly want to look at everything and take your time to read the signs. We would definitely not recommend going to the Accademia Gallery and the Uffizi on the same day, unless you're some kind of museum Energizer Bunny superhero, because it's just a lot to take in. We highly recommend you wear comfortable shoes and have a meal before you go to the Uffizi. There's also a cafe inside with beautiful views of the city in case you need a snack break. Just nearby the Uffizi Gallery is Piazza della Signoria. This square is the main historical point of the Florentine Republic and still maintains its reputation as the political focus of the city. It is a popular meeting place for locals as well as tourists. The Palazzo Vecchio, a 13th century palace, is there and dominates the space. It's the largest hall in Italy by volume. You can't miss it. Inside the Piazza della Signoria, there are many famous statues, including a marble replica of Michelangelo's David. There's another David replica in the city, which we'll show you later. The Loggia dei Lanzi is also found in the square. It consists of wide arches open to the street, 3 bays wide and 1 bay deep. It is an open-air sculpture gallery with antique and Renaissance art, including the famous Medici lions. There are many bars and restaurants in the piazza where you can rest, eat, and have a drink.
The Ponte Vecchio is one of Florence's most iconic landmarks. This medieval bridge spans the Arno River and is one of only 4 bridges in the world to have shops across its full span on both sides, the others being in Venice, Bath, England, and Erfurt, Germany. The Ponte Vecchio was the only bridge in Florence spared from destruction during the Second World War. Today, it's lined with jewelry shops and goldsmiths. It's a great place to take a stroll and soak up the atmosphere. Like all of Florence's famous spots, Ponte Vecchio can get very crowded, but it's well worth visiting. We had such a fun time walking past each shop and gawking at the beautiful jewelry. Some of the most interesting pieces were these cameos, made from shells and different stones. The intricate carvings were so beautiful and would make a special souvenir from Florence.
We're suckers for a great rooftop view, and there are several rooftop bars in Florence where you can enjoy a panoramic view of the city. Our favorite was at the Westin, which has 2 rooftop spaces, one right off the bar and another that is reserved for private events, but was open the day we went there. Drinks and food at the rooftop bar are pretty pricey, understandably. The hotel itself costs €800 per night, or even more in the high season. But you can see why when you check out the rooftop views.
For a more local experience, you can head to the Piazza Santo Spirito. The square is located in the Oltrarno neighborhood, which is very cool, and is a great spot to grab a drink or a bite to eat. There are about a dozen restaurants and bars to choose from in the piazza. It's also home to the beautiful Basilica di Santo Spirito, which is free to enter. We chose a restaurant with a nice view of the basilica and ordered paninis and the house wine. I chose the Lampredotto Panino, which is one of Florence's specialties. It's made from the 4th stomach of the cow and has a special green sauce made of herbs. As weird as it might sound, it was delicious.
Of course, no visit to Florence would be complete without trying some gelato. There are plenty of gelato shops around the city, but be sure to look for places that use natural ingredients and have a wide variety of flavors. Gelato hot tip: if you see it piled high with bright colors like this, steer clear. It's likely made with artificial flavors to produce those bright colors. Instead, look for places where the gelato was packed low, or even better, stored inside metal tins like this. Speaking of food, we had so many incredible meals in Florence. Don't miss the opportunity to try some of the local Florence specialties. Tuscan cuisine is known for its hearty meat dishes. There were also many dishes made with wild boar, which were very good. Our favorite panini places were All'Antico Vinaio and Sandwich Chic. All'Antico Vinaio is only a 2-minute walk from the Accademia Gallery, so we went right after they opened around 10 a.m. and avoided what is usually a very long line around lunchtime.
Our favorite restaurants in Florence were Sabatino, Il Santo Bevatore, and my parents ate at a place called Buca dell'Orafo, which they loved. Honestly, we didn't have a single bad meal in Florence. It's such a foodie paradise. The Mercato Centrale, or Central Market, is a huge market in, you guessed it, the center of the city. Vendors sell local Tuscan ingredients, such as fruits and vegetables, cheeses, wines, pastas, and meats like the famous Florentine steaks. You can take escalators to the top floor of the market, where you can find an entire area with restaurants. You can sit and enjoy a meal with a lively atmosphere and the stunning Mercato ceiling above you.
If you like wine or Aperol Spritzes, you'll be spoiled for choices on where to go all over the city. Be sure to try local Tuscan wines and ask for recommendations from waiters. Italians take a lot of pride in their wine, and it's some of the best in the world. Another uniquely Italian thing you can find in Florence is their wine windows, which you can still spot all around the city. There are records showing that in 1634, wine windows were used during the Black Death or bubonic plague in Florence, likely to avoid a contagion. A few of the wine windows came back into use during COVID by restaurants to serve food and drinks to patrons. This website has put together a map and PDF list to help you find them. We'll link it below in the description box.
We highly recommend making your way up to the Piazzale Michelangelo, which has some of the most beautiful views looking out over Florence. It's especially popular at sunset. We went in the early morning and there were hardly any people there and plenty of parking. There's a bronze replica of Michelangelo's David in the center of the piazza.
Florence is a great jumping off point for a day trip within Tuscany, and it's only 1 hour from Pisa by train. Check out more videos from the region here and here.
If you have any questions or other recommendations for Florence, please leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.